Sarah always considered herself lucky. She had a house. Not a mansion, of course, but cozy and bright. A husband, Mark, reliable and loving, or so she thought. A job, interesting and well paid, even though it required constant attention. And a daughter, Emily, a teenager with a complex character, but still the most precious person in the world. But in recent months, something had changed. Mark started staying late at work, citing urgent projects. He stopped paying attention to the little things that used to matter so much to him. Her new hair colour, her favourite pie that she baked for his arrival. Sarah chalked it all up to fatigue, a midlife crisis, anything but admit the obvious. Something in their relationship was broken. The first red flag came when Sarah accidentally saw a message on Mark's phone. Just a name, Lisa, and a heart. She tried to suppress her jealousy, convincing herself it was some kind of mistake, a colleague, a client, but the worm of doubt had already settled in her soul. She began to notice other oddities. Mark became more secretive, hiding his phone, going to another room to talk on the phone. He no longer hugged her before bed, didn't say, "I love you." Sarah felt a wall growing between them, cold and impenetrable. One day, returning from work earlier than usual, she found Mark at home. He was sitting in an armchair with his eyes closed, holding her favourite book. A half-empty bottle of wine stood on the table. Sarah felt a pang of jealousy. He never read her books. "What are you doing home so early?" Mark asked, startled. "I finished all my work," Sarah replied, trying to hide her agitation. "And you? Why aren't you at work?" "I wasn't feeling well. Took the day off." Sarah went to him and touched his forehead. It was cold. "You're freezing," she said. "Maybe I should call a doctor?" "No need." Mark brushed it off. "It'll pass. Just tired." He got up from the armchair and went to the bedroom. Sarah watched him go, her eyes full of doubt and suspicion. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned in bed, going over all the strange things about Mark's behaviour. She felt like she was going crazy. Could he be cheating on her? Were all those years of their happy life a lie? She got out of bed and quietly left the bedroom. She went to Mark's study and listened. She could hear quiet snoring coming from inside. She opened the door and went in. In the dim light of the room, she saw Mark sleeping at his desk. His phone lay next to him. Sarah knew she shouldn't do it, but curiosity was stronger. She picked up the phone and turned it on. She knew the password, their wedding date. She quickly found the messaging app and opened the conversation with Lisa. Sarah froze, as if struck by lightning. "Lisa, I can't do this anymore. I love you. I want to be with you always." "Mark, I love you too, but I don't want to destroy your family. You have to make a choice." Sarah scrolled down the messages, reading new and new declarations of love, plans for the future, promises. She felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Her world collapsed in an instant. She turned off the phone and put it on the desk. She turned and left the study. She went back to the bedroom and lay in bed, but she couldn't fall asleep. Only one thought beat in her head. He had betrayed her. In the morning, Sarah woke up with a heavy head and eyes swollen from tears. She looked at Mark, sleeping next to her. He seemed so innocent and defenseless, but she knew the truth. She got out of bed and went to the kitchen. She made herself coffee and sat at the table. She stared out the window for a long time, trying to understand what had happened. She didn't know what to do next. Mark woke up and came into the kitchen. Seeing Sarah, he tried to hug her, but she pulled away. "What's wrong?" he asked, frowning. "I know," Sarah replied, looking him straight in the eye. "Know what?" "About Lisa, about your messages, about your love." Mark paled. He was silent, not knowing what to say. "How did you find out?" he finally asked, lowering his head. "It doesn't matter," Sarah replied. "What matters is that you lied to me. You betrayed me." "Sarah, I didn't want to hurt you." "Didn't want to?" Sarah sneered. "What did you want? For me to continue living in ignorance? For you to continue lying to my face?" "I love you, Sarah. But I got confused. Confused, Sarah repeated. And I thought everything was fine with us. We have a family, children, a house. But it turns out that all this time, you were living a double life. I didn't want this, Mark repeated again. It just happened. How did it happen? Sarah cried out. Did you just decide that I wasn't good enough for you? That you deserved something more? No, Sarah, it's not like that. You're the best. But, Lisa, she just appeared in my life at a difficult moment. She understands me, supports me. And what about me? Don't I understand? Don't I support you? Sarah asked, feeling her voice tremble. You've always been busy with work, with Emily. You didn't have time for me. I worked so we could have everything we needed, Sarah retorted. So Emily could study, so we could afford a vacation. And you, it turns out, were looking for understanding on the side. Mark was silent, lowering his head. Sarah looked at him, with disgust. I'm leaving, Sarah said, steeling herself. What? Mark looked up. I'm leaving. I can't live with you anymore, after everything you've done. Sarah, don't, Mark pleaded. I'll fix everything. I'll break up with Lisa. I'll pay more attention to you. I'll be different. It's too late, Sarah replied. You broke our trust. You destroyed our family. I can't forgive you. What about Emily? Mark asked. Have you thought about her? What will happen to her? She'll understand, Sarah replied. She's a smart girl. She knows I can't live a lie. Sarah went to the bedroom and began packing her things. Mark stood in the doorway and watched her, unable to say anything. She packed a suitcase, took her purse, and left the house. Mark tried to stop her, grabbing her hand. Please, Sarah, don't go, he begged. Give me a chance. Sarah tore her hand away and looked at him with contempt. You destroyed everything yourself, she said. Goodbye. She went outside and got into a taxi. She looked at the house where she had lived for so many years and wept. Her happy life was over. Sarah rented a small apartment on the other side of town. She felt empty and lost. She was hurt, offended, and lonely. She didn't know how to live anymore. For several days, she just lay in bed, not eating or drinking. She didn't answer calls or messages. It seemed like life had lost all meaning. But then she remembered Emily, her daughter, who needed her. She understood she couldn't afford to mope around. She had to be strong for Emily's sake. Sarah got out of bed, took a shower, and got dressed. She made herself coffee and sat at the table. She opened her laptop and started looking for a job. She got lucky. After a few days, she was offered a good position at another company. She gladly accepted. Work helped her distract herself from sad thoughts. She met new people, learned a lot of new things. Gradually, she began to return to life. Emily also supported her. She understood what had happened and didn't judge her mother. On the contrary, she admired her strength and courage. Mark tried to contact Sarah several times, but she didn't answer his calls. She didn't want to see him or hear from him. She needed time to think everything over and decide what to do next. One day, several months after the breakup, Sarah accidentally met Mark on the street. He looked terrible, thin, haggard, with a dull look in his eyes. Sarah, can I talk to you? He asked, timidly. Sarah agreed. They stepped aside and sat on a bench in the park. I know what I've done, Mark said. I'm guilty before you and before Emily. I lost you both. You made your choice, Sarah replied. I regret it, Sarah. I really regret it. Lisa turned out to be nothing like I imagined her to be. After you left, she started demanding more and more from me. She wanted me to divorce you, give her all the money, and when I refused, she just left. Sarah was silent, looking into the distance. She felt sorry for Mark, but she couldn't forgive him. I understand that you don't want to see me, Mark continued. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want you to know that I will always love you and Emily. Sarah got up from the bench. Goodbye, Mark, she said. Goodbye, Sarah, Mark replied. Sarah walked away, leaving him alone in the park. She didn't know what awaited her in the future, but she knew one thing. She would never allow anyone to treat her like that again. Several years passed. Sarah built a successful career. She traveled a lot, played sports, met with friends. She was happy, even though she was alone. One day, she met an interesting man, Michael. He was kind, intelligent, caring. He didn't rush her, didn't demand anything in return. He was just there. Gradually, Sarah began to trust him. She told him about her past, about Mark's betrayal. Michael listened to her with understanding and didn't judge her. After a while, Michael proposed to Sarah. She hesitated for a long time, afraid of making a mistake again, but Michael convinced her that everything would be fine. Sarah agreed. They had a modest wedding with friends and family. Emily was happy for her mother. Sarah found happiness again. She realized that life goes on, even after the most difficult shocks, and that there is always a chance to find new love. But the past still reminded her from time to time. Sometimes, waking up at night, Sarah remembered Mark. She remembered their happy years, their shared dreams, their love. She was sad that it had all ended that way. One day, Emily called her. "Mom, I saw Mark," she said. "He looks really bad. He's working as a taxi driver." "I know," Sarah replied. "I've heard too." "Mom, maybe you can help him?" Emily asked. "He's still Dad." Sarah thought about it. She understood that Emily was right. Mark was Emily's father, and he needed help. "Okay," Sarah said. "I'll think about what I can do." Sarah called a doctor she knew and asked him to help Mark. The doctor agreed. Mark was admitted to the hospital and began treatment. Sarah paid for his treatment. She didn't visit him, but she knew he was getting better. After being discharged from the hospital, Mark got a job at a small company. He became a different person, calmer, more humble, more grateful. One day, he called Sarah. "Sarah, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me," he said. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope that someday you can forgive me." "I've already forgiven you, Mark," Sarah replied. "Long ago." "Thank you, Sarah," Mark said. "Thank you for everything." Sarah felt relief. She had let go of the past. She had forgiven Mark, and she had forgiven herself. She looked at Michael, sitting next to her on the couch. He hugged her. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yes," Sarah replied. "Everything's okay." She snuggled up to Michael and closed her eyes. She was happy. She loved Michael, and she knew that he loved her. But the story wasn't really over. Years later, Emily, already grown and independent, announced that she was getting married. Sarah and Michael, of course, were happy. The guest list was long, and Sarah was surprised to find Mark's name on it. She was, of course, a little worried before the meeting. After all, so much water had passed under the bridge. But for Emily's sake, she was ready for anything. At the wedding, Mark was modest, trying not to attract attention. But at some point, he approached Sarah. "You look beautiful," he said. "Happy for you and Michael." Sarah smiled. "Thank you, Mark. I'm glad to see you too." They talked a little about Emily, about life. It felt like the past had receded, leaving only a slight sadness and an understanding that things could have been different. At the end of the evening, before leaving, Mark approached Sarah again. "Sarah," he said quietly, "I want to say thank you again, for being you, for forgiving me, for raising such a wonderful daughter. I will never forget it." Sarah looked at him with warmth. "And I forgive you, Mark," she said. "I wish you happiness." She hugged him goodbye. At that moment, she felt that it was all over. She let go of the past once and for all. But the story didn't end there. That same evening, returning home, Sarah found a letter on the table. The letter was unsigned. She opened it and began to read. "Sarah, I know you forgave Mark, but you must know the truth. Lisa didn't leave him on her own accord. I helped her leave. I arranged it so that he would lose her. I did it for you. I have always loved you, Sarah, and I will always love you. Your secret admirer." Sarah froze in horror. She realized that her life was a complex game, in which she was just a pawn. Who is this mysterious admirer? What does he want? And where will this game lead? She felt fear grip her. Her happy life was once again threatened. Now, she had to solve this mystery and protect herself and her loved ones. The story was just beginning, and the ending would be very different from what she expected.